I always say, right, the only thing better than Sunday golf is Monday golf, and the only thing better than Monday golf is Tuesday golf. And so, if you're out there, and I'm trying to get better at this because I haven't always lived up to this, but if you're out there and you're playing golf, it can't be that bad. There's a whole host of other things and people and life that goes on that you'd like to recognize that we have the opportunity, the leisure, the finances, and all the things that go along with it to just be out there. Just take your iced tea, take a couple drinks, enjoy the ride, enjoy the walk, and enjoy the person that's with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast. Robby and Jonathan here. Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm good. We've got is it Monday or Tuesday? It's Monday.
It's Monday. It's Monday.
1 week from now, we will be sitting around chatting about our first round at Pinehurst. So I'm already thinking through like what to pack and how to get it there, and making sure all my clubs are set up and everything else. So
it's going to be a good trip. Well, before we get into what the theme of today's episode is, we've got to give thanks as always to some friends of the program, Summit Golf Brands, who, side note, they just launched or announced some incredible partnership with Old Barnwell. I know I sent you the message there, but Nick Schreiber, he sent it to me and my friend Brandon, and before they announced it and said, hey, here's what we're about to do. And, you know, I was talking with Dan Drellinger and they're all excited. But yeah, B. Draddy's like a partner with Old Barnwell and just all the missions and the great things that they are doing as a course. Old Barnwell, Summit Golf Brands, they are uniquely partnered in their thoughts of how to grow the game, get more people involved. And so that's going to be a fun thing. And that's just another reason, Jonathan, that I'm really excited that we get to partner with these guys. So
yeah,
we
absolutely.
get to wear
I'm not a vest guy, but man alive, I want an Old Barnwell vest from either the B. Draddy Every Day,
maybe we'll get one of these someday, but
the Zero Restriction.
Yeah, so B. Draddy, Zero Restriction, Fairway and Green. If you go to any of those websites and you use BestBall 20, it'll knock 20% off your order. I highly recommend getting all of that stuff. Another partner of the show, Western Birch. Like Jonathan said, we're about to head up to Pinehurst. We will be collecting the Pinehurst tees, but we will be dropping some BestBall and Good Company tees all over the place there at Pinehurst. So many thanks to Lewis and the team. If you use BestBall in the shipping cart, you can get a free gift with your order. But Jonathan, today, you know, we talked about kind of who should we have on as a guest, and we've got some people lined up, but we thought today, you know, we always talk about people and their starter stories, and I know, like you mentioned before we got on air, we did this kind of at the very beginning of what this was going to be about, but it's all about golf stories, and we're like, you know what, we haven't done one on BestBall in a while, if anything, so I thought it would be fun if you and I kind of chat and tell the story of BestBall, how it started, but I guess we should back up to when you and I first met. So you wanna tell that story?
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't heard or don't remember, Robby was my boss for a while. I got his
and now we've switched places.
No, I'm nobody's boss now. So his brother-in-law, I went to church with his brother-in-law. I wanted a different job, and he handed off my resume. Robby took a look at it, probably said doesn't have a chance, and then passed it on to our senior vice president manager, or whatever his name was, whatever his title was. So I did an interview, somehow got hired, and Robby was my manager in sales, selling copiers. And first day, he's like, hey, let's go check on a customer. And we go out, and it's about, I think it was like 10:30. We go in, meet this customer at some business space, and there's a bunch of other businesses around. He goes, oh, you know what? I've got an errand I've got to run, so why don't you just go ahead and cold call the rest of these businesses here? I was like, I don't have business cards or anything. And you hand me yours, handed me a pen, and said, all right, I'll meet you after lunch. And I was like, I cannot believe this. And so I went out and cold called, I don't know, like 20 businesses. I got yelled at by a customer because I cold called them and I didn't know they were customers. And that was the beginning. I was like, why did you do that? He's like, well, either you can or you can't. So we might as well find out on day one. So yeah, and that's whenever the grind of copiers and everything else in our lives was still going on. Young kids, I think Archie and Priska were a couple years old. I'm trying to think. Abigail was just born or soon about, which meant that Connie Ann was already probably a 1 year old or somewhere around there too. So yeah, young guys in our late 20s trying to figure out life and families and work and everything else. And now I'm stuck with two best friends, Robby and Andrew. Which, by the way, if you don't know this, Andrew's family, shout out to Andrew Ekstrom, his family, they celebrate half birthdays, and Robbie's and Andrew's are on the same half birthday. So that's always a fun text to send out on birthdays and half birthdays.
That is one text I look forward to every 6 months.
Every
It's
6 months.
Either happy half birthday Robbie, happy birthday Andrew, or
Yeah.
vice versa.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and so through all that cold calling story, yet we still have become great friends. And
Yeah, I didn't hate him as a boss, even though
Yeah.
he left me out hanging in the wind.
well, like you said, figure it out, right? So,
Right.
but no, yeah, it's been an incredible friendship, I would say.
Well, hold on. I've never heard your side of the story. I've always told my side of the story, but you've never been like, I remember Jonathan coming in thinking this guy's worthless.
No, my brother-in-law said, "Hey, I got somebody I want you to talk to. I got a church. I don't know anything much about him except I see him on Sundays and maybe do some other stuff together." But yeah, I like with everybody, right? Like our job selling copiers, selling copiers is selling copiers, right? And the way at the time, people weren't just throwing out emails and everything. It was, hey, we're going to go cold call. And that was in that position that we were hiring for. That was the number one thing that we had to do. And there's no better way to learn than doing it. And so I honestly don't know if I had an errand to run. I think it might have just been more.
I think you made it up. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, I probably went and got a donut and some coffee or something and just laughed. But yeah, I guess that's my side of the story. But I do remember thinking like this guy can do it because you didn't care about rejection. I mean, it's quick. You love getting no's in sales, right? Because it
Right.
opens up the opportunity to, bond over no pressure at that point. And so,
Yeah.
I quickly saw that you were very good. It's kind of like when the young Jedi surpasses the master, and you quickly
Wasn't
did
bad.
that. And so, yeah. Anyway,
I was coachable. If I had known I could have been coachable in golf, I would have started that sooner too.
we tried that.
We
But,
tried that.
yeah, so that's kind of our work story. But like you said, we're both married. Jonathan's got 3 kids. I've got 2. They're all getting older now. But yeah, and so I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. Jonathan is in Augusta. Just different times in life. Jonathan used to live in Arizona for a brief period, and so we were in Columbia at the same time together for a while. But ever since doing the BestBall thing, we've found ways to get together more often than we have. So it's fun. But I guess, Jonathan, let's then, like we ask all of our guests, when did you get into golf? Like, what was your first? Do you remember your first experience?
Yeah, I do. I was in college at Lincoln Christian College, and I apologized to the driving range because I found out a way that they had those little tokens, and you could slide the token in just a little bit, and it would release the balls, but you didn't have to give them the token. And so I got a lot of. I'd use at least 3 or 4 buckets per token because I was a broke college kid. I was a baseball player, didn't know anything about it. I think I remember picking up a set of golf clubs for like $75, including a bag. And I would literally, like, if I'm facing the camera right now, that's exactly where the driving range was. And I would swing, and it would go all the way out to the right, and then massive sail back over in front of me. And I thought that I was hitting the ball straight because it was landing in front of me. I thought it was landing in front of me. Now I realize that on a driving range, nothing is actually in front of you. And so hit balls with a couple buddies, went out on this really crappy course in central Illinois somewhere that was the worst place to go starting now that I know anything about golf. It was literally just rows back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 30 yards at most wide. And we just lost so many balls, just hammered them everywhere. But I do remember the first time I got hooked of, I want to do this some more. I was out with a guy I worked with at Cracker Barrel named Chad. Didn't really like Chad. I don't know why we were playing golf, but he was playing golf. I was playing golf. And it was a par 4, 325 yard. They had punched the greens. I didn't know what that meant either at the time. It's just annoying. and I hit a driver to like 315. I hit it right up to the front of the green and thought, oh, I could do this. I think I five putted or something like that. But it was the moment where I'm like, okay, this is fun. And then the golf clubs went away for years until we were working together and we were in sales, and this is what salespeople do. And so I figured I had to figure out how to hit a golf club. And so that's whenever I kind of really got the bug of sort of getting into golf. Now, you started with the traditional cut down a set of clubs and use
Yeah.
your dad's, right?
Yeah, my dad cut down an old set of clubs. I had a wooden driver, persimmon driver, and like it was one of those, had an old bag, kind of like what Charlie Golf Co. is making now. But this was like, I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Jones golf bags that we have now. Like it was the old school, like tiny little bag, and I had, I think, a driver. It was probably actually a 3 wood. But yeah, like 2 or 3 irons and a putter maybe. And I would go out with my dad. I remember a story of, he would go on a work trip and he'd take me along sometime, like to Myrtle Beach. And I remember a story like it was freezing cold. He wanted to go play, so we went and played. And of course, I really wanted to play. And I remember one time I hit the ball on a par three with my driver, and it went, it was a worm burner. It ran the whole time, and it ran right past the flag. And I'm sitting there thinking, God, that could have been my first hole in one. And it was so cold. I think the starter brought me some hot chocolate or something like that. But I was hooked from the start. But like you, I played other sports, football, basketball, baseball throughout high school. Thought about some baseball in college. The Lord had other plans. And so in college, tried to start picking up the clubs a little more and had to work out a massive slice. Like my ball would go, 200 yards this way and then 100 yards to the right.
Yep.
And so through college and then really after college, tried to start working on that and figuring that thing out. Funny story, Emily, for our wedding gift, she got me golf lessons to Golden Hills. You and I've played at Golden Hills.
Yep.
I still have the certificate for those lessons. So maybe one day I'll walk in there and be like, hey, will you take this like 22 years later?
You never used them?
No. No, I mean, young married, like, when are you going to go? Like, I don't know. Just never used it. So
Awesome.
I think I've had maybe one lesson from our buddy John Brock. I think he kind of looked at maybe a short game lesson for me, but
Yeah.
I've never really had a lesson. Kind of always self-taught and watched way too many videos and everything. But so that's kind of our intro into golf. We've both done sales forever, 20 plus years in sales in different tech or things like that. Jonathan is now mostly free to play golf as much as he wants, which is kind of nice. And I'm trying to make this thing work with BestBall so that I can come play with him whenever. But briefly, I'll tell you BestBall's first act. Right, so in 2012, I registered BestBall. Shout out to my buddy Wade Bonner, who helped me buy the domain bestball.com. It was from somebody else. We bought it for $700.
I didn't know that.
We bought it for $700 from a guy who had it, who wasn't doing anything with it. I guess he just had bought it and had it registered or whatever. So that was when BestBall kind of officially started, 2012. It was an app for live scoring. And long story short, like a lot of companies, kind of ran out of time and money and just kind of shelved it, but held on to the registration, the name, the website, and everything. And Jonathan, you want to kind of share a little bit about the relaunch of BestBall?
Yeah, so I had a software company and had sold that and was kind of hanging out. And you said, hey, I've got this idea that we could create this brand and clothing. And if you notice, let's see if I can turn this behind me here, the part where it's got the par four, 230 yards. So like basically helping people tell their story, if you will, of their hole in one or their favorite golf course or that type of thing. I'm like, yeah, let's give it a try. I think our biggest strategic mistake to date was we bought a lot of koozies. We had this grand idea of how we're going to launch this brand and put it in front of everybody. And between your house, my house, and my sister's house, there's still got to be probably 4,000 koozies that
Absolutely.
have the Arizona outlier. So if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're trying to figure out how can we give away koozies during the waste management, just get in touch with us. We've got plenty to give away.
Yeah, so that funny story. We relaunched Best Ball
Yeah.
in January of 23,
Yeah.
and you and I are out there on Sunday. We played golf Monday morning of the practice round of the waste management.
In the
You
parking
and I are in the
lot.
parking lot at 5 in the morning. We were like the first ones so that we could
Yes.
be near the bus,
Yes.
and we are handing out koozies. We probably handed out 5,000 maybe
Well, we
between me, you, and your buddy.
yeah.
Over
We
a course of 3 days, probably.
Yeah, he went another two. I think it was like 4 days total, but it was a lot of koozies left over. Um,
But
yeah,
if nothing else, there's that many koozies out there in circulation. It was pretty cool, right? It's got the famous stadium hole,
yep,
details on it. It's got best ball on one side. We did give a box to the bar at the course that we played.
we did.
Remember that?
Yep,
And they
yeah,
handed them out. We walked back in after playing. There's a guy sitting in the bar with like a Miller Lite in our koozie. It was
Yep.
like, all right,
yeah,
here we go. So, yeah, it started as a how do we help people tell stories? We were thinking maybe some art,
Yep.
some custom stuff there. And I think, like you point out, my wife, one of the things we had on the list of how do we do this is like at some point we'll start a podcast. And
yeah,
finally, in March of 23, she was like, why don't you just go ahead and start? Like, what
Right.
are you waiting on? And brilliant on my wife, Emily,
right.
for getting us to do that.
It was perfect timing. I think like 2 days after my first major surgery. So if you go back and watch the video of that one, I literally had a massive gash through my chin, and I'm like tucked in like this with a 3/4 zip, so it wouldn't be bad. And suffering through, but here's the thing. We talk about this all the time. We interview a lot of entrepreneurs, and again, if you're listening to this thinking, man, I'd love to do something like that. The first thing you have to do is start. If you don't start, then it never happens. And here we are, 140, 150.
Probably.
Yeah, like we're way into this now, and obviously the places that we've gone since it started
Yeah.
has been incredible. The people that we've met, it's just
Yeah. First episode of just you and I saying, hey, here's what this is going to be
Right.
all about, which, of course, has probably changed 1,000 times
Right.
since then. You remember our first guest?
It was. Oh, I can see his face.
Donald Taylor.
Donald Taylor, yeah, because he's got this massive mural in his basement. The best round at the Augusta National that no one has ever heard of, unless you've listened to our second episode. But it literally incredible.
Yeah. What are some of the highlights episodes, like guests and stuff, that have stood out to you? Like, we keep saying, like, I can't believe we got to talk to this person and this person, but what are some that have jumped out to you?
I'll hold on for a second while my internet decides if it's going to work.
There you
There
go.
we go. I'm back. I was thinking about that. If you'd asked me at the end of the first year, we talked a lot about how we had people that we never would have thought had been on. The founder of the Golf Channel, Matt Adams. We had, I just forgot his name. He teaches the women's golf over there in Columbus, Georgia, and was on CBS. So like we had,
Oh, yeah. Mark Immelman.
Mark Immelman. So like we had these names of people that still baffle me that they decided to come on our show. But I think if you were going to put favorite episodes, I would almost now at this point say it's with people that we've been able to play golf with, or people that we've met through the podcast and then somehow been able to get in the same place in the same time and been able to play golf. The friendships that we developed, the roundtable stuff that we've done, which ironically, I don't think you've played golf yet with David Kirsch, have you?
I have not. I haven't met him in person.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I went up and I played like 9 holes with him or something like that. We were able to connect. I've known him for some work stuff. But I would say it's that. Like, it's the relationships and the friendships and things along those lines where you meet someone, even like Dan Drollinger, right? We brought him on, we talked about everything, and then we met him in person, and it was even better. Like, just those relationships growing. And so I would say originally I would say I'm excited about some of the names that you get on there. And now since then, again, the names are astonishing in terms of the guest list that have come on. But the ability to meet these people in person and play golf with them in person, or even just hang out and have a drink, that's probably some of the stuff I look forward to the most, of who are the next group of people that we get to play golf with and enjoy this journey.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think some of the ones you mentioned, I echo. Other name. I mean, it's funny we talk about and we'd really talked about this early on, like, hey, what is the guess that this one's going to blow up, right?
Right.
This one's going to take off. And yes, we've had slow, steady growth. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what we'd have done if all of a sudden we were, a golfer's journal, fried egg, no laying up kind of level at this point. I would love to be there. I think we do things a little different in the audience that we're, not the audience, but like the stories that we're trying to tell.
Yeah.
One that stands out for me, maybe a couple, two buddies from Iowa, right? You got Tyler Johnson, who does Charlie Golf Co., and his buddy Jared Dorfler, who, when we first interviewed him, he was doing Perfect Putt, the business newsletter, and now he's got Hana Golf. And both those guys have taken off. Like, we did them early on. Not that we had anything to do with their success. They are awesome entrepreneurs and done great. But, the fact that now Tyler has, quit his job. He's full-time into Charlie Golf Co. He's expanded his line from toddler golf bags to clubs to now junior stuff. And he's, had to move out of his garage because he needed more space. So, like, all those things are just fun because, we can look back and say, we knew them when,
right?
And we can kind of follow and keep cheering them on. Our buddy Jason Calamero out there at Squid Designs. I mean, we've got awesome signs in the background of our podcast because of him. But that's just a cool story. Got to talk to his wife, Kala Inaba, like a teaching pro over in Vancouver and British Columbia. And, but man, that you have a great point that it is about the people that we really get to connect with. And I think we've said that about everybody after we've talked to them, right? Like, hey, let's figure out a time to get together and play golf.
Yeah.
And a lot of them we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's stories within there that you don't know where they're going to go or if they're just going to be their story, right? Even if it has nothing to do with some amazing, growing of a business or anything like that. It's just been good people to find out more about what they're doing in the golf world.
Yeah. Who would be maybe some of your bucket list guests? Like if we need to like sit down at some point here soon and write out a list of who are the next, later this year and for 2026, like who are the people that we want to talk to, that we want to have on to hear their story and help tell it?
There is a guy that intrigues me because it's like a comical idea for everyone that's been in golf, but he's attacking it. There's a guy who's like trying to go from no golf at all to scratch in 1 year. I'd like to just figure out like what made you decide to do this sort of thing. There's always the pro, right? I think just maybe the validity aspect of like a pro being willing to come on and be a part of it. Again, like some of those people that we thought were bucket list people have already been on the list, right? Like we couldn't imagine the director of Full Swing comes on. And we're able to interview him, and like that's not nothing. That's like those are people that you get to make connections with, and I'd be interested to see. I think it goes back to the relationships and how they develop of the folks that we. If you took like a timeline and built the last year and a half, 2 years, and then you saw the relationship timeline grow and a piece of that as well, where that's going to be in another year. From just knowing these people, or I think you had talked about it being in the mix, right? Of just being in the places and spaces where these people are too.
Yeah, being in the mix is huge. We jokingly said the other day, because we got a follow from Caddy and the Kid, their Instagram handle, like how awesome it would be to have Michael Collins and Ken Griffey Jr. on.
Wear my hat backwards the entire time. It'd be fantastic.
And you're a lefty, man. You guys would love it. Like
I do not have that swing, but I'd give it a try.
Yeah. Oh man. Like I know baseball. Like we both love it. Like I mean, Smoltz. Like how awesome would that be? I mean, he's over in Atlanta. Let's go see him. Right.
Smoltz. Like if you put. Yeah, I mean, if you had some baseball players that would. We interviewed the brother-in-law of Kansas City shortstop.
Oh yeah.
He was doing dad golf.
Golf dads.
Golf dads. That's right.
Yep.
So Zach. Like we're adjunct at this point. We're getting there. God,
he's been tearing it up lately too.
I know. Yeah, it's been great. Again, it goes back to anytime you put, if you go back to what we started at copiers, right? it's just asking. And up to this point, most people either not responded because maybe
Oh,
someone,
this is the easiest cold call ever.
right, like
Hey,
most
do you want
people
to talk
are,
about golf?
yes, or they just don't reply, which is fine because sometimes people aren't checking social media messages or don't deal with that because we've reached out to some people that, like, I messaged Tony Finau to see if he wanted to use my house for the Masters.
Right.
And no one replied to that because
Hey,
I don't.
Tony, you want to come sleep over?
Right. Well, no, I'll get out. It's just there's lots of room for his family. We've got a lot of space, so he probably already has a place marked out here in Augusta. But in case he doesn't, it's
Yeah.
still available.
Very
So
nice. We have also been blessed with some incredible people to work with.
yeah,
We talked about Summit Golf Brands, Dan Drellinger. We talked about Lewis and the folks at Western Birch on our course correction series, which I think is kind of hilarious that you and we're actually getting better at golf, which is fun.
trying to.
But we've got the Stack system, we've got Arcos. They have been great to work with. Even our buddy Joel with Atomic Golf, we've done some stuff with him. Like, the friends of the program, and I hope there's more. So
Yeah.
I guess my question to you is like, who's your dream sponsor? Like a company that says, you know what, we like what you guys are doing, and we want to be associated with you guys.
Well, I have a
Right?
shoe.
'Cause I see it more as a partnership, not a sponsorship.
Right. I have a shoe problem, so it'd be really nice if we could find like True Linkswear or somewhere like that. I think I already have like 4 or 5 pairs of their shoes. Um, you think through like from a business perspective, like where do you get that someone's willing to invest in what you're doing too, which is what B Draddy and those folks are doing. We really it's an honor to be committed with them in that partnership, along with, I mean, like you mentioned at the beginning, finding that ability to connect them with things to help grow their business and their space in the golf world. So, I mean, if I don't know if I have a club type, but if you find a club company that'd be like, hey, we like what you guys are doing,
Yeah.
we'd love to see you use our clubs and talk about them. And then they see me hit a ball and they'd be like, never mind, don't show people doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I have. I don't know. Like, there's also the side of you that sort of hopes maybe you find the next whoever, right? Like we find someone that's brand new, like we are, and says, "Hey, we'd like to do this," and then we grow up together in that world and in that space, and everyone's successful in the middle. So I don't know if I have. We've always talked about. I mean, shoes and clubs would be great. I've got
Yeah.
a lot of polos now. I have been using the BestBall 20 discount. I've got some new zero restriction stuff that helps me not get burnt in the sun. So yeah,
Yeah. I think it'd be fun to come up with a starter company. But you talk about shoes and clubs.
yeah.
Give me Titleist and FootJoy all day long.
Titleist and
Like,
FootJoy.
yeah, for golf balls, like I was
Oh,
thinking about
that's
this
true.
the other day. Like, I have never been fitted for clubs for golf balls. There's some confidence, some mental confidence that I get when I look down and see a Titleist, like a Pro V1, Pro V1X. I don't even know which one I should be hitting. Like, I'm not that smart. And I had Titleist. I had an old set of AP2s that I loved. I've had hand-me-down clubs for forever, starting with the cut-down clubs, right?
Right.
And from the kindness of friends that said, "Hey, I got a new set. Here's a newer than what you got set." And so now I've got some got Callaway woods now, and I've got some Mizuno irons, which are great, but they're
Yeah.
not fit. They're not fit for me. So I would
Right.
love, to get fit for clubs.
That would be fun.
And yeah,
I think
and
the experience would be fun.
absolutely.
Just the experience of it would be a really good time.
Yeah, I listen, and bucket list guests or dream guests. I listen to a lot of the Chasing Scratch stuff, and I've reached out to those guys. I know they are super in high demand, Mike and Eli, and don't have time for a podcast like this. If you do, guys, if you happen to listen to this, we'd love to have you on to get more of the backstory of y'all's journey into golf. But hearing their stories about going out to the Titleist Performance Institute, getting fit for different stuff, and understanding how much that helps their game. And I think it would help our game too. I think in our course correction series, that would be a great addition to helping us get better and knocking that handicap down a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll add this. If I were going to shoot the moon, right, on who I would
yeah,
want Bryson, as much as people do, I love his content. I think it's so much fun to watch. And it'd be like, hey, let's go to Goshen Plantation and see if we can like beat the course record. And I think for all that he gets and people that like him, don't like him, the live situation and blah, blah, I honestly think he'd just be a fun guy to hang out with. He eats a lot of food, which is kind of exciting for me. It feels like every time he's in a cart, he's got food. So that'd be fun too. Like just sit, chat, eat. Uh, Pick his brain, whether you think it's good, bad, or ugly. He thinks about the game of golf probably more than most. I think he'd be a lot of fun to have on.
you just want to talk to him about that single length 9 iron
Listen,
club.
100%. I would show him my 9 to 5 and be like, "Here,
Hey, what do you think of my What do you think of my Dolly Parton club
What do you
here?
think of my dollar?" Yeah, we would talk about how he's got to rename all of his clubs. He's got to come up with better names.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. All right. So, have you heard the phrase BHAG before?
B-Hag?
Yeah, BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals.
Oh, no, I guess I haven't.
So, all right, big goal. We talked about dream sponsor. What are big goals for BestBall? Like what in your, off the top of your head on a Monday in June? We're 2.5 years into the podcast, 2.5 years into the kind of the rebranding, relaunch of BestBall. What are your big goals?
I think we're connected to some people in the golf world that tell stories in a lot of different ways. And I think it'd be really fun if we were like a part of that. So I think about the movie that was just released, was it April or May? Or the movie is like a 15-30 minute documentary on Landman. And I think about like what Jeff Marsh does whenever he gets invited to basically tell the story from a photography perspective of what a course is through video and that lens. And I think it'd be really awesome if someday it was, hey, the 21 club is opening up and we want you guys to come out and interview the architects, and we want you to interview the golf pros, and we want you to interview some of our first members to talk more about what the club is going to be about. And if you can you do you have anybody that that could do these things? So almost like facilitating a course, a brand new course, or a course that's being reimagined in some way, that we could be brought in as a part of that, and then sort of be on the Rolodex of the architects that are doing those things. So that way they know whenever they're finishing out the hardest par 3 in the world, that some of the first people they're going to invite are Robby and Jonathan, because they're going to ask the right questions and tell the story the way that it needs to be told.
I like that. Yeah, I think our years and years of sales training has given us unique perspectives. One, we came from outside the golf world, right? Like you and I are amateur golfers still.
Yeah.
We are the outsiders in the golf media space. I still have hanging up on my board the rejection letter from Augusta National, from the Masters, for media credentials. We have gotten virtual media access to like the U.S. Open this week.
Yep.
And some of the other stuff, which is baby steps, right?
Right.
So if my dream scenario, I want BestBall to continue becoming more and more relevant. Like I love the slow growth. I'm kind of ready to see a spike. I'm kind of ready to see us hit that next level. But again, I wouldn't change anything about the people and relationships that we've met and the opportunities that we've had so far. And, in God's timing, like we are here where we are, right? Like, family stuff going on, kids graduating and all this other stuff. I think maybe the timing is almost right for this thing really to take off, to free us up for a little more travel and a little more, things like you were talking about, like going to talk to courses and stuff like that. So that's kind of my big thing. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Like what is the next step? What would I love to see happen? And I think I want people to see and believe in what we're doing and kind of want to partner with us in doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. It's one thing to think it yourself. You want other people to think that you're doing it a pretty good job at something. So
That's right.
anyway, we do have, you mentioned earlier, we're going to Pinehurst. One of the things we do, well, I guess before we jump into that, you mentioned best ball roundtables.
Right.
Those are some of the most fun things
They really
for
are.
me. Like you mentioned, David Kirsch, I've never met him in person, but, consider him a great friend. Josh Decker, who we interviewed because we saw that he and some guys went last year, and he's become a good friend. We got to hang out with him at Landman. And we get together with these guys a few times a year to do this thing called a best ball roundtable. We've had some other guests on as well. But what are your takes? What are your thoughts on the roundtable?
I always feel completely inferior because I don't know enough about golf. I had never paid attention to golf until really we started the podcast, and you guys have these memories of like the third hole on a Thursday at 3 o'clock, blah blah blah, like all the things about the golf course that I have no idea what's going on. The amount of golf knowledge, I just kind of tag along. That's how I feel, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. And I'm just like, how do you know this? Why do you know this? I just all that stuff. I can't remember what my last round of golf looked like. Never mind what someone's round of golf looked like in 2002, at wherever the Open was in 2002. I'm sure today we'll find out.
Well, the best part about the roundtables is there's no one that's better than the other. It's everybody's opinion counts, right? Like every time I get in the car, you're listening to some kind of sports talk show where they're like a bunch of talking heads, like,
Oh yeah,
arguing about stuff,
but they don't
and
talk
we're
about
not
golf.
we're not that, but
No.
we're just gathering as friends and talking about typically a major, right?
Right.
What we think's going to happen, and then later we'll talk about what actually happened.
How
So,
wrong we were and what
Yeah.
that looked like. Yeah.
yep. The other thing I was starting to mention, Pinehurst, we're going with these trips called Good Company.
Yeah.
I really am excited about these. We're continuing to tweak how we're putting them together and how we'll do them. But it's, this is our second one. We did a small one in the Pawleys Island area in South Carolina. We played Caledonia and True Blue with a number of the guys from Twilight Golf. That was a lot of fun. But this time we're going to Pinehurst, and we've got 4 days, 3 nights of playing at the American home of golf, right?
Yeah, I mentioned before we started recording, we use Arcos, and you can go on there. I download the courses already. I've already preview caddied them. It tells me what I'm supposed to use. I'm going to ignore all of it because I'm just like, I got a driver now. I got to give this thing a try. So I'm so excited to figure out in my head, because I'm a 45-year-old man who's partly senile. In my head, I'm like, I'm probably going to shoot like 80 on number 2. It won't happen, but I'm really looking forward to it. I can't, yeah.
And then we'll make the turn and have to play the back.
That's exactly right.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. And with that driver, you will have a new head cover coming from our friend Josh
about that.
at Flag Bag.
That's right. That's why I got a driver. I've got to carry it with me.
You got to put that thing on.
Got to put it on there.
I'm looking at it now, and it's man, those things are awesome. So
Yep.
I'm excited about them. Yeah, Good Company. It's kind of like the whole thought and theme behind Best Ball, right? It's gathering people together in golf. Like the golf aspect is going to be a lot of fun, but hanging out with our group is going to be. I can't wait. Like while we're playing, dinners, meals, and then when we're not playing, it's just going to be a great group of people, and I can't wait. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we go next.
How does think about 2025 so far? So, I mean, it started off with Myrtle Beach and True Blue and Caledonia for 2 days.
After it had snowed and postponed that.
That's right. After it snowed and everything else. And then we've been to Ireland and we've been to Scotland, and we're now going to Pinehurst. You've played Broom's Edge.
Broom's Edge.
Broom's Edge, yeah. We had a random Tuesday where we went down and played Chichesse. Like, if you start listing the golf courses, and you've also played Old Barnwell at least once, if not twice.
Yeah.
Tree Farm. I think you played Tree Farm this year too, haven't you?
No, I've not played it this year. That was last year.
But, like, this first 6 months of the year is going to be, like, it's going to be a hard downhill turn, or something's going to have to come up to be amazing to beat some of the courses.
I'm going back to one of my personal favorites, the shirt you're wearing, going back to Landman.
Yeah, that's true. I don't get to go
in the
this year.
fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
So-
might need to find a course in Greece.
My clubs are not allowed to go with me and I've already looked. There's no golf course on the island. not allowed to play golf.
I gotcha. Yeah, so yeah, it has been an incredible year so far of golf. Like,
And we're
and I
playing
think
2, 3, 8, and 10 next week.
yes, and the
Yeah,
cradle.
and the cradle.
Yeah,
So my goal for the week is to get a 2-on-2 and a 10-on-10. I really kind of hope that my golf game does that for me. I've already talked to Joel Leopard about it. That if I get a 10-on-10, I'm asking for a custom.
you could get him to
coin.
make the one that they were making.
That's right.
Their April Fool's joke. You are turning into like it's a 600 something yard par five. Like
There's
I don't know if anybody's getting an eagle.
huh? No.
I don't know if anybody's getting the eagle. Like they have it for on number. Is it number 10? That hole?
Yeah.
Like a 3. Like if you get a 3 on that one, like not happen.
Listen, a 10 is just as realistic as a 2.
Maybe
in my
Brandon
golf
Smith
game.
or Jonathan Dickinson will get it, but
Jonathan Dickinson could. Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. But it's a good group, and yeah, hopefully we'll have at least one more of these things on the calendar, maybe for later in the year.
right.
So we'll see and keep everybody posted. I guess we'll throw out there like if anybody has thoughts for guests that we should have on the show, or hey, you guys should bring a good company event here, let us know. So, or what we could be doing better, or what we are not very good at. Maybe our buddy Dave Warner, who listens to pretty much every episode and emails us as a faithful friend. Maybe he's got some good ideas for what we should do. Maybe we need to go down to the Jacksonville area. Maybe he can get us on Sawgrass or something.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, like we do with every episode, Jonathan, we kind of ask each other, what's the story of your most memorable golf shot?
So my most memorable one was the one we talked about first episode, where it was infamous. It was terrible. You can go back and listen to it. I've not gotten much better at golf, but I do know the difference between a 6 and a 9 now. Fortunately, I only have a 9 iron. That keeps me from it. I would have to say, at this point, my most memorable golf shot is probably going to be the second shot into 18 at the old course, because if I messed up enough on 17 that I needed to, if I bogeyed 18, then I'd get an 89. And I was about 205 yards out, and just a beautiful shot right to the front of the green, and then 2-putt for par. But that shot right there makes it, right? Like, I could have chunked it, I could have sliced it, I could have done lots of different things, which are all a part of my game. And so watching that just sort of float up in the air and just be a gorgeous shot, that kind of that was summed up the whole entire day, where I broke 90 for the first time. So at a special place that lots of people don't have the opportunity to play, that's not lost on me at all. To have that day at that moment and to hit that shot, even though it wasn't like a crazy shot. Like, I mean, if you've watched it, there's nothing in the way. There was lots of room to miss, and it just happened to be a great little shot that for me turned out pretty well. So I'd have to go with that one.
Yeah. I think mine's going to be similar. Neither one of us, like a lot of our guests say, they either do or don't have hole-in-ones. Neither one of us have a hole-in-one. Mine would be the opening tee shot on the old course.
Yeah.
Right. And we got to play it in reverse. And kind of a little funny twist to that is you did not record it.
I feel really bad about that still.
That's all right, because it will live in my memory forever.
Right.
It's one of those bucket list courses, bucket list trips, and you nervously put the ball down. You got I don't know 50, 100 people just around, because it's just a golf town and they're watching, and to be able with a group of friends with you, like to perfectly hit a shot through all of that, like that'll be a memory I will never forget. And I part it both on the reverse round and on the regular routing. But that opening tee shot at the old course is something that I'll remember forever. So thank you again for that.
Good day for sure.
For sure. All right. Now we do our quick 9. And I challenge you, come up with a list. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
All right. Favorite USA course that you've played so far this year?
USA, like just in America?
Just in America, yeah.
That I've played this calendar year?
I'll give you 12 months. Well, the last 12 months.
Landman.
Landman?
Yeah, I was about to say if it's 12 months, then Landman falls into that.
What about 2025? If you don't include Landman?
Old Barnwell or Palmetto.
Ooh, Palmetto's a good one. I haven't played that one yet.
It's a great course.
Yeah. I got to get better before I get invited to those types of things.
There you go.
All right. You got your question for me? I'm just going quick 9 straight with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Favorite international course played so far this year? We'll go with this year because we went on
The
that
old
trip.
course.
The old course?
The old course.
I wasn't sure if you were going to pick Ireland or
Carn?
not. Yeah.
No. I mean, if you get 2 options, Carn is second,
Right.
is like 1A,
1B. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. One course you'd love to play before December 31st this year.
I want to check Sweetens off the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll do it. I mean, our buddy Josh
Yeah.
could have done it. I mean, Kyle Walton and his crew are there for the Walton Cup right now.
Yeah.
And could have gone and played that with them, but too much other stuff going on. But I'll say Sweetens. Like, I really want to go do it.
Yep. We kind of touched on this. Most memorable shot in 2025 will eliminate the drive on number 1 on Old Course and Old Course Reverse. What's your second most memorable shot?
Of 2025?
Yeah.
I would say it is the second shot on number 18 at Jupiter Golf Club. You and I were down there.
Oh.
Yeah, we're down there at the Bedrati event,
Yeah.
the Shindig, and we're playing, and I am 1 over par on 18
Yes.
and had hit a great drive, and I think I even stopped and recorded something like, this is probably the happiest I'm going to be on this. But I hit a good shot on the green, 2-putted for par,
Yeah.
and shot my best score ever. I was 1 over.
1 over. That was a good one, especially since you just jacked that one over like 3 different apartment complexes, or the one that you pulled, you sliced, I guess. It would pull for me. Man,
Yeah.
but you recovered on that one. You recovered
Oh,
one.
I hit that over Del Boca Vista Phase 3 for sure.
At least.
No.
All right. If you had to pick a foursome, but you couldn't pick any golfers, who would you pick?
No golfers?
No golfers.
So nobody that plays golf, like
Right.
you or Archie or something.
Right.
Let's go Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, good one.
Let's go. Man, that's a great question. Man, dead air for a podcast. This is really good. God, good questions make you think. Let's go. I've always liked Tom Hanks. I don't know. Let's throw him in there.
Yeah.
And then, gosh, not a golfer. I think about golf a lot.
I do too. Like, I've got guys, but I'm like, oh, but they play golf. That wouldn't count.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not known for golf.
Right.
And let's go. Gosh, Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah,
Him and Seinfeld together would be a riot.
yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be good. All right.
Great question, by the way.
Yeah. Well, because I was thinking, like, we've had Tupac and other people listed, and so it's like, let's go a little out on this one. All right. Would
Yeah.
you rather have a hole-in-one or an albatross?
Hole in one.
A hole-in-one? I think I'd almost go albatross on that one. All right. This is one I'm excited about. If you could caddy for one pro, who would it be, and what tournament would you want to caddy him for?
Scotty and the Masters.
Scotty and the Masters. That's a good one. That's taken there. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Why not, right? Like,
That's true.
The chances of a win pretty good.
Right.
I could hear your clubs and stay out of the way.
One rule change that you would make for regular golfers, not pros, because that's a whole separate conversation. But if you could just change one rule for regular golfers, what would it be?
I would like the rule for out of bounds to, just play it like we do with our friends, like make it a lateral hazard. I would do that, and I would figure out some way to increase pace of play. like, not that everybody has to have a handicap, but like maybe you need to play the tees you're supposed to be at, or like a max stroke and then pick it up. Like, I get it, you want to learn golf, but you don't need to learn your 20th shot on this hole. Like, somehow figure out pace of play thing.
Yeah, like a triple max or something like that, and it'd be okay.
Yeah.
I had the
Yep.
last question is like, what's next for best ball? We already talked about that, so I'm gonna ask my favorite question. What's your favorite snack on the golf course?
Favorite snack. I mean, an Uncrustable pretty good. If you're going just like straight like packaged food.
Yeah,
Um, but man, a good hot dog. It's hard to beat that.
I don't know what's in it, but that haggis that we had overseas,
Yeah.
that was the if you listen, if you ever
Hold on. I might have a question for you.
okay, all right, there we go. All right,
All right. Yep.
that was mine
Yep. Favorite course that you've ever played?
that I've ever played. I think it's got to be Landman. That's tough because I mean we've played the old course reverse. Um, I think Landman with this caveat is because we got to play it for so many days in a row.
Yeah.
So I think if you and the experience of it, right? So that wrapped up into all of that makes it a pretty special place. Can you imagine though if you took that like those 50 or 60 people and gave unlimited access to like the old course and we could just kind of go out there and play all day long? That would be something, but that's not going to happen ever. So yeah, I think Landman. Yeah, man, that's a tough one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bucket list course. And let's go realistic, right?
realistic.
Yeah.
Um, that's a tough one because I don't know if the hard part for me when it comes to those famous golf courses is that I also know I'm not good enough to really enjoy some of them.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know, but it kind of does because like you don't want to. Uh, I would like to go play Kiowa. I've never played Kiowa. I think it'd be fun. I think
Yeah.
a lot of that comes down to, and we've talked about this a number of times. A lot of my bucket list stuff are the things where I want to become decent enough that I'm also a guy people think about whenever they're going to play a nice golf course. Of hey, I got a round, I'm going to do that, and it's like Jonathan can come because he's going to be he's not going to shoot a 97. He's going to be somewhere in the 80s, and it'll be great. So
I mean, if you're, someone said the other day, if when you play golf, play fast, and if you're not playing well, play faster, right?
yeah,
Like,
but I already do that, and I think
yeah.
I'm a decent guy to have around. But
You are absolutely a fun person to have on the golf course. So anybody out there looking for a foursome, you need a fourth, call Jonathan. He has time and
That's true.
he's great to play golf with. So, no, I think the Kiowa courses would be great.
I think it'd
I'd
be
love to
fun.
go play the Ocean course again, but I'd love to play the other ones down there. I
Yeah.
haven't played any of the other courses there, but I really want to play the rest of them.
as long as someone else is paying for it, because I'm not spending like $600-700 on a round of golf.
Maybe for the Kiowa folks listening, that would be a great series. How would Robby and Jonathan do on all the courses
How does a
at
20
Kiowa?
handicap manage Kiowa?
You're like a 18 something now. Come on.
18.9, something like that. Yeah.
Perfect. We'll be there to shoot content. All right. If someone said you could play Augusta National, but you had to give up golf for the rest of your life, would you do it?
Man, you have to give it up. Oh, no, I don't think I would, and that's a disappointing thing because it'd be the mass. This is the national, man. Like that'd be so good, but it also means because we're not old, but we're not young. It means like your kids. Someday my son may actually pick up a set of golf clubs, or his kid may pick up a set of golf clubs, and I hope that I am the elderly father or the grandpa that's willing to grab the kid when they're 5 years old and let them chip and putt and do everything with me on the golf course. So, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't do
I
that.
told you like golf. You don't want to give it up. See?
I don't want to give it up, but
Yep.
yeah, not
No,
for
great.
A rounds.
Good answer. Good answer. All right. Who's your dream foursome? You can be anybody.
My dream foursome. So this may be an odd way to answer this. I think part of my dream foursome would always be a one slot left open for the new person that you just get paired up with. I really enjoy getting paired up with somebody, as long as they're not jerks. But 99% of the time they're not. So one of my dream foursome would always be just a random guy who gets to come along and happens to have the same tee time. That's always a good time. Um, I think I would say John Smoltz because he's John Smoltz and Lance Armstrong. Those are two guys. I love baseball. I love cycling. They're both good golfers. I think they'd be a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I think, and then whoever gets to come along with me that gets randomly paired up, I think they'd have a good day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. Well, describe your perfect day of golf. Like start to finish. Like what would be the ideal day of golf?
Well, there's going to be food involved.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It's, like in my head, I kind of think a breakfast burrito would be 100% there, whether that's
Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A. Yeah, I mean, I almost always start our days together with a Chick-fil-A burrito, a large unsweet iced tea that I can take along with me, maybe two, so like I could drink one on the way to the course and then one in my bag there. Um, Maybe a free. I love it whenever range balls are included, and you can just kind of go up and hit a couple. Um, I'd like it to be somewhere in the 80s. April 25th, right, would be a perfect day. Not too hot, not too cold. Just need a light jacket. Uh, and at the end of it, I would love. Well, I think my perfect day of golf would always include at least two or three other foursomes that you're there with. And at the end of it, uh, if you could have like Chichesi was a good one, right? We got done playing, starts raining, we're out on the porch, and then whatever it was, some sort of overnight stay, so you can either do it again tomorrow or not have to leave. That everyone can just hang out and just have a good time, and then at some point our wives show up because I hate traveling without my wife, and it's a lot more fun anyway. So
Very
that
nice.
that'd be a good one.
I like it. All right. If you could take one part of a pro's golf game, what would you take? For example, Rory's driving ability.
Ooh. So the immature side of me would absolutely say something like Rory's driving ability, but I also know that the 80% of your shots are made within 100 and 150 yards. And the one part of my game that I'm not very good at, I would take Phil Mickelson's short game because it would just drastically change everything about golf if I had that short game.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like it. All right. Favorite snack on the course that is not tacos?
man, that's a setup right there.
You've said tacos so many times. That's the genesis of the
You
question.
have no idea how much fun it was to have tacos. Um, so I ate haggis, and I didn't ask what it was first, and then I had more later, and that was good. Something hefty, like a real thing. Hot dogs are great. I'm happy to have a hot dog on the turn. A little mustard, a little onions if you can. But the way golf was treated overseas, of the halfway house on the old course, was the way I prefer. Like they had soups that you could get. Our caddies usually got a cup of soup. They had the macaroni bake with some hot sauce on it. Um, and I like the fact that it was expected that you were supposed to keep going, but there was no rush whatsoever to the process. And it also, different than American courses usually, it wasn't back at the clubhouse. So you didn't feel like you were coming up there and parking somewhere and then having to go inside and find the bar and find the food and all that kind of stuff. Um, I would say I think your course food should be relative to the course that you play. So, and if it's super expensive, something should be included for free. But like we went and played a course the other day, and it was a really good deal to go play, and it was like $8 or $12 for a hot dog, and you're like, come on, guys, like we're not inside a football stadium where suddenly it's got to go through security to get here. It's just a hot dog that you're not cooking very well. So that would
I
be my
get it.
thing.
All right. Well, the last question that we typically ask a lot of people, the
Yep.
best part of golf is what?
Always the people. Always the people. Um, your everybody's golf game is going to be good, bad, and sometimes very ugly. But if you get back in the cart and you're like, well, that wasn't a good hole, and you got someone that's like, yeah, but that's okay. It's I always say, right, the only thing better than Sunday golf is Monday golf, and the only thing better than Monday golf is Tuesday golf. And so if you're out there, and I'm trying to get better at this because I haven't always lived up to this, But if you're out there and you're playing golf, it can't be that bad. There's a whole host of other things and people in life that goes on that you'd like to recognize that we have the opportunity, the leisure, the finances, and all the things that go along with it to just be out there. Just take your iced tea, take a couple drinks, enjoy the ride, enjoy the walk, and enjoy the person that's with you.
Love it. Well, this is a lot of fun, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
This episode is exactly what I was hoping it would be. Just us talking about best ball and kind of why we love doing what we're doing. It's a kind of a passion project that we get. But if nothing else, like your wife said best, you and I get to hang out and chat, right?
To hang out. Yep. We've played more golf in the last couple of years than we have before, and met new people and have more fun. And it's just going to keep going on. And a week from now, we'll be living the dream, talking about what the dream was like for the first day, how far we got close to driving par fours at Pinehurst, and how many six putts we had.
Well, hopefully not many of those. So I do want to give a shout out to Jones Golf Bags, Jones Sporting Company. They're the bags that we got to carry around in Ireland and Scotland are amazing. We'll be lugging those things around Pinehurst as well. So many thanks to them. Forgot to mention them earlier, but yeah, if you've got thoughts or ideas for Best Ball, for the Whole Story podcast, we also produce Caddy Tales. We've got the Southern State of Golf with John Combs. Off the Deck might be coming out soon with our buddy Josh Decker and others, right? If you got an idea for a podcast that's not out there and you want to do something, let us know because we might be able to help make that happen. But Jonathan, thank you for everything.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else. So,
not at all.
It's a lot of fun, man. So, for Jonathan, this is Robby. You guys have been listening to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast.